Of course, the future of Canada's energy sector has been in some turmoil in recent months, and many are braced for what may come post-throne speech in terms of a new direction by the federal government in investing in green energy and away from some more traditional energy businesses. Hal Kvisle has been around the Canada's oil and gas sector for many, many years. And Hal, I want to ask you about Russ Girling, somebody who you know very well, but I want to start right there with that throne speech and the general pivot. I mean, it isn't just the government of Canada, right? It's been everybody from BP to Total to you name it, saying the future looks different than the past did. What do you think the energy sector needs to hear next week from Canada's federal government? Sorry, it's not next week anymore. It's today. It's tomorrow. It's this week.
Sure, yes. Well, Amanda, first I'd say that it seems that everybody wants to be the predictor of a new future. And BP has a long track record of publishing sort of wild and crazy predictions about things back to the time when their title changed to Beyond Petroleum. And of course, they didn't do anything of the sort. So I take all of these predictions with a grain of salt. I think we're in a difficult position in the energy sector right now. Demand for crude oil is certainly down, and that's bad for the energy sector, but it's an even worse indicator for the broader economy. That if demand for crude oil is down, it means transportation is down, manufacturing is down, a whole lot of things are struggling. And as we look to the speech from the throne, I think what the government of Canada needs to focus on is what can we do to stimulate economic activity. We certainly have three priorities that the government's looking at, I think, right now. The first is getting the country back to work. The second is taking care of those that are in financial difficulty. And the third really is how are we going to deal with what's almost an incomprehensible level of debt that we've taken on. We're kind of like a person that's just taken out a huge mortgage only to find out they've lost their job. And that's kind of the state the country's in today. So I think we have to look carefully at what we can do. And, you know, the fact that oil demand is down is indicative of deeper problems. There's a real shortage of activity in the industrial sector.
You know, since the beginning of COVID, and, you know, as we led into that, there was that devastating price war, I will recall, that Saudi Arabia kicked off that really gutted the global price of oil. Our energy sector has been asking for assistance from Ottawa, targeted assistance for the sector. It didn't come for, you know, we could speculate on why that didn't happen, but we didn't get, you know, a sector-specific package. Are you worried that you're going to hear in this throne speech and then beyond in, you know, in budget policy and in kind of fiscal policy, a real pivot away from support and investing in, you know, the so-called green future? Are you worried about actual fundamental changes in how the government relates to the energy sector?
I don't worry about the government pivoting away from supporting the energy sector because we haven't had support for the energy sector for 5 or 6 years now. Amanda, I think what industry needs is not financial handouts or assistance from the government of Canada. What the energy sector needs is a clear signal that the Canadian federal government supports the industry and supports the work of the people that toil in that industry and try to do well in that industry. And I think what we need is removal of some of the regulatory and political barriers to success in that industry. The energy sector competes globally. There aren't many industries in which Canada is a global leader, but in the oil and gas industry, we're the fourth largest by some measures, fifth largest by other measures, in an industry dominated by pretty big players. And for Canada today, to be capable of producing 4 million barrels a day of oil and gas liquids, when you compare that to the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Russia at 10 million barrels a day, this is a sector that can play a very significant role in Canada's economic recovery, and we should be doing that on the global stage. We do it well. We protect the environment better than any other oil and gas industry worldwide. And we do a good job on social causes, notably the support that the industry gives to the Indigenous communities here in Western Canada. So I think we don't really need financial support from the federal government. We need them to express their support for the oil and gas industry. and to do something about the restrictive regulations that have made it very difficult for us to get anything done. We can compete on the global stage, and that's what we should be doing.
Hal, we've only got less than a minute here, but just your thoughts on Russ Girling's departure. Obviously, it's a big change for that company and the sector. Is it a blow to the industry?
You know, to me, Russ's retirement is just very natural, the steady progress of things, and I think it's a real a positive thing for TransCanada, TC Energy today, to be able to say they've had now 3 CEO transitions in an orderly way, picking candidates from within the company. I was delighted when Russ was ready and more than capable of succeeding me 10 years ago. And to know that Francois Poirier has learned the ropes at TransCanada, been there 6 years, very sophisticated man with a great financial background and excellent sense of industry. He's going to be good, and I just really congratulate Russ on an outstanding job over the past 10 years.
Well, thank you very much for that, and it's great to have your thoughts, Hal, as always. We appreciate it. That is Hal Kvisle.